What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Swolecast here on RotoGrinders.com. It's the back to school edition, and we are excited to be taken to school by Ben Gretch. Ben, how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, is Pete in a jersey too? You guys said throw a tank top on, but it's jersey day. I should have a jersey on.
Yeah, we're going back to school, and that school is on the hard court, Ben.
That's right. Full disclosure, this is the jersey that was signed by Dr. J at the DraftKings event that I played horse against him. And it is like, it's not like a basketball jersey. It's like a football jersey that like is hugging me pretty tight.
Did you win that?
A horse? No, I didn't.
All of Kitchen's DFS stories go back to when he was a DK pro.
I mean, they're good stories, right?
Really, if you think about it.
When do your stories go back? Actually, we were talking about you, Davis, like as far as your bucket hat, like Cal was talking about yesterday in the office. Like, those are classic, like OG moments. Like now we haven't got to see each other in person in a really long time. Like, we're just clinging to what we have. Like your moments are like Twitter moments. I'm talking about
the best type of moments to have. You interrupted me though. I was going to say, if you think about it, the DK NFT marketplace really could never have got there without the groundbreaking step of the DK pros. Like that never, like really, Tom Brady's first NFT. It was David Kitchen who set the framework for that.
And let's back up because we just had a show last week. By the way, a shout out to Logan Hitchcock, Logie, for getting hired by Lucky Maverick. That's Pete and Bale's
Lucky Trader.
Lucky Maverick.
Lucky Maverick is Bale's Substack, right?
It's his blog that he didn't realize people were paying for until 4 months after starting it.
Imagine charging a newsletter and charging people for it.
Well, long form fantasy content is dead. So
anyways, shout out to Logan. And I do want to say I checked the receipts, and as soon as Bales posted that job posting on Twitter, I mentioned Logan, and then Davis, you co-signed. So absolutely. I feel like you and I's recommendation really kind of put him to the top. So shout out to him. Also, a lot has happened in the past week because Pete,
we're 5 minutes in. You're already taking credit for someone's career boost. That's
welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
These two didn't even flinch.
No, we know it's coming.
They're used to the greatness.
Dave's about to take credit for my CryptoPunk sale. Watch.
I'm just saying that last week on the show, like we talked about like a little bit about NFTs and how Tuttle would be like, just victory lapping and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden we had a seismic shift. We had Cal selling one of his CryptoPunks for like the equivalent of like $350K. Like we had the rise of just CryptoPunks in general. And Peter, you sold. And I want to know the backstory of like how that happened.
Yeah, the market was getting frothy, and Paper Hands Levy, I think, had tossed in the chat that maybe we could list it at a moonshot price.
Yeah.
I think we kind of ballparked it at like the market value being 120, 125 ETH. So we're like, let's do 169.69 ETH. That'll be funny for the lulz, and it won't get sold, but at least we're doing our due diligence. Then this guy messaged me. And he's like, are you guys selling your CryptoPunk? And I was like, well, we have it listed, but we're not like trying to dump it. He's like, okay, let me know if you change your mind. I'm like, well, we have it listed. And then he comes back a few days later and he says, any updates from your crew? And I'm like, there's really no updates. Like, it's still listed. He's like, okay. And then an hour later, he DMs me, I just bought it.
So he knew about your CryptoPunk from the bit that you were doing about the 1/5 of the CryptoPunk. Like, how did he reach out to you? Like, how did he get your info?
I don't know where I should ask him. He doesn't follow me, which is just incredibly poor etiquette. So I don't know. how he must have been looking at that punk, and then I don't know how he tied it to me, unless I just did such a great job.
You don't
my
know how
personal
he
brand.
tied it to you. You have like a whole bit on this 1/5 of a crypto punk.
Yeah, I just don't know how he would find that.
Okay.
But
do you want
yes.
to dox the other guys in your group or not?
I mean, I've already publicly there's only one that can't be doxed, but it's Adam, Wiggins, and CSU.
Okay. And
I slid into Pete and Pat's DMs after that sale, and I was like, "Are we going to take a look at some of the expensive Top Shot moments that we own and see if we should list those for a moonshot?"
Davis was looking for another worst day of his life.
Yeah.
Well, Top Shot is pumping a little bit. I just checked my evaluate.market, and it's Kitchen. Darius Garland, the rookie debut Darius Garland moment has some sales over the last 48 hours. How insane is that for you?
Some of those sales were to me.
I'll sell you mine at cost. I'll sell it to you off chain for exactly what I bought it for.
As soon as we get Penguin Turtle Tuxedo or whatever his name is out of the market, we can start mooning again. But like this was not a past 48 hours. This is like since last week. Like it really the Cool Cats announcement and all the other stuff. Hold on, I'm on the clock right now. Oh boy.
So I actually wanted to talk to Gretch about this because Gretch lives in the state of Washington, which means that he is missing out on the cultural experience of being on the clock permanently and doing 900 fantasy drafts a day. I also I can't remember, did you get in to Top Shot or these NFTs at all? Like, it has this whole summer of being permanently locked in to the internet. Is it like all of this kind of passed you by?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit. I'm in a chat with Pete and Pat and Leone where we were doing some playoff league. We did a ton of playoff fantasy leagues last year. And so we were tracking those. We had some really live teams into late January. And that's like when, Bales wrote his article and like there was like, they were all getting interested. There's all these conversations. And I was like, nah, I'm going to feel it out. And then I just I had like 3 more opportunities to buy in. And I was just like, So
yeah. We can apply some like logistics there. Like, and I read a nice tweet and I was like, well, this would have been nice to know or just like do, but it was like, always keep one of whatever you're collecting. And it reminded me of like, always keep your initial lineup in, because like, if you change it and it wins something, like keep it in something, because otherwise you're
always play your cash lineup in a GPP.
Yeah, like, because soon you're going to see like the entire Denver Broncos organization buying Bored Apes for like $100,000 and you're like just crying.
Are you speaking for a friend, Dave?
Yeah, I'm speaking for a friend.
Pete, did you did I miss it? Was it a bit that you aped back in to a Bored
it was
Ape?
100% a bit, and I lost
for
it until I like went back and watched the it was the randomizer draft with Jack, because like as soon as you did it, I'm like, no, he didn't. And so I check the traits and I'm like, wait, this hasn't been sold.
I checked the traits, bro.
I checked the traits because I was like, so help me if he bought a gold fur Bored Ape after like me saying that I thought the bit, honestly, when I first saw it, I'm like, this bit is for me. Like that you were just going to be digging in at me. But then I was like, no, this is
you
like,
would think
I was going to say, of course, Kitchen thinks it literally, like Pete just spent $35,000 on a JPEG as a bit against David Kitchen.
But that's the thing. It would be using it as bit equity, using my platform to boost this Bored Ape. All right. We got some back to school stuff to talk about.
I still don't understand the theme of this show.
It's like back to school. Like we're
all right.
weekly,
I know what
my kids are going back to
like
school.
weekly Swolecast, like grinding football. I think is what the theme was, if I understood it correctly.
Yeah. So we're just first of all, I wanted to do like an icebreaker. Yes.
When I got asked, I was just excited to be on the only show that gets further off track than chip chasing. So I was like, hey, this will be a blast.
All right, Gretch, what was your favorite teen high school movie?
What
when
does that
I was a
even
teen,
mean?
or like a movie about being a teen in high school?
Well, like obviously, like you could be a teenager, or you could be like before that. But what was your favorite? Like, did you have a movie
When
in
I was
high
a kid?
school? Yeah.
He's saying like, how much did you like American Pie? Is basically the
No,
question.
it was Tommy Boy and Happy Gilmore. I mean, I watched those two movies probably 100 times each.
Okay.
I don't know why, but
Peter.
You mean like, yeah, like high school centered?
I would that was gonna be the theme
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
high school centered.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off was my jam.
That is so Overzet.
Is it?
It's like a classic movie. It's just like a
yeah,
very
like you
good
were.
movie
It wasn't
that
even
everyone
around.
likes.
Like you were like 2 years old when it was like released.
Wait, so now you want one that was that came out when I was of age too?
What?
I mean,
Kitchen, what's yours?
he-
She's All That?
No, Kitchen's like
that is
100,
a really
dude.
good movie. That is really.
I mean, Kitchen, you're saying like for me, I guess I was a little older. Like Superbad came out in 2007. I mean, like
Yeah,
what good
Superbad was
teenage movies were from, like,
Oh,
the
I kind of
mid-2000s.
was in high school at the peak of like the Judd Apatow movies, like, and also it was like pre-social media, so like people's entire sense of humor would be like, it feels like bags of sand. Like that was just like, if you said that, you were like the funny guy.
Yeah.
Just quoting Ron Burgundy all the time just made you
Yeah.
hilarious.
I
Yeah,
literally
like
dressed
that.
up as Ron Burgundy for Halloween my freshman year in college. And just, I walked around quoting, I mean, I never talked to more girls at a party in my life.
Ours was
guaranteed success.
yeah, ours wasn't like high school like movie, but it was like Austin Powers 1 and 2. Like going and just quoting that whole movie.
I kind of thought this was just an extended bit to show how old Peter actually was.
No.
Like I thought Kitchen came up with this bit to get Peter to admit
Get
to
me
being
back
34.
after
Yeah.
my board 8 purchase.
Yeah.
No, actually, I like to do segments and short segments and kind of break up the show in segments.
Yeah, because it's
so-
always very organized and very.
No, that's what we do. I don't like to be like long-winded on stuff. We like to be short and succinct. That's why we brought Ben Gretch onto the show. Ben, I'll let Peter go ahead and tell you what you have to do for the remainder of the show.
Oh, yeah. So, Ben, I don't know if you heard, but there is a paradigm shift now in fantasy sports content, and we do have to be more succinct. We have to be more deliberate. We can't waste our viewers and our readers' time. So for the remaining of the show, you do have to speak in sentences that are 10 words or less.
Okay.
Can you do that?
No.
All right. So let's.
I was thinking even before seeing that tweet, it's pretty funny to come on the show. Like I got you three who are all like really witty and your little quips and everything, and I can't land anything in under like 1,000 words. So it's a great fit for me. Great
Kitchen's
All right.
gonna walk around with that feather in his cap for a long time, Gretch. You just made his month.
Will be the first one to call me wit. I feel like Davis being lumped into our wit is like something that he would walk around with. Okay.
You think I want to be associated with your world?
No,
look,
it's not just
Dave?
me. It's me and Peter. It's our wits. Like,
Oh, being lumped in with Peter, huge plus.
yeah,
Like
that's
anyone
what I'm
who
saying.
associates
Me
me
and
That's why
Peter,
Dave
like,
is-
he gets
he's
to be
like the-
lumped in with.
He's like the kid on the playground who was like, I got first pick, and he just chose Pete as quick as he could. Like me and Pete have the same wit. We're very funny together.
Yeah. It's called co-signing. Davis is really good at it.
I am very good at it. That's true.
Okay.
I learned it from you, though, Dave.
I was about to say I've already
been.
been co-signing tweets for the past week, and I've enjoyed it. One of the subject is the Packers running back subject, Saquon Barkley also. So I want to start with two guys are going in the first round, Saquon and Aaron Jones. Gretchen, you tell me, are you scared of these guys or not? Like if these guys are coming up and they're like your eighth pick, and those are next to like on the list, are you just skipping them all together for a wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the room, but
Who the hell are you talking to, Kitchen?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean,
Kitchen does not listen to
skipping.
ship chasing.
I'm skipping the 103 for a wide receiver. So you're not exactly putting me in a tough spot here. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
that's
depending on the room.
that's
If they're-
too far. You guys have gone too far if you're not taking Kamara and Zeke. I'm sorry.
I
And
mean,
Derrick Henry.
No.
Are we?
Inaccurate?
I want to do the I think you should lead. You sure about that, Davis?
People got so tilted on Twitter yesterday when I said that CEH was a dead zone running back, and then I literally linked Gretch's shit. We're like, yeah, sometimes it is in the second round, and just slowly slinking away from the keyboard.
That tweet tilted me too. I just didn't engage with it.
Wait, you don't think CH is in the dead zone?
I don't think the spirit of the dead zone is talking about guys who go in the late second round of.
Yeah, that tweet also tilted me in. I wrote the dead zone article. So.
All right.
The dead zone starts with the first
Davis,
pick.
what are you talking about?
Gretch did the nah wave. He did the nah wave to Davis, like linking to his article. He like took it down right away.
Dude, Pat had the article on NBC Sports Edge. Go read it. Dead zone starts at pick 1.
That's why you take Devontae Adams 103.
All right. Gretch, are you like if you did a redraft league with your buddies, your hometown league, you would still take a wide receiver at pick 103?
I think that's a really good way of putting it, because in a league like that, I feel comfortable that I'm going to get plenty of wide receiver depth, and there's going to be some bad choices in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, and so probably no. I probably in those leagues I've come around to I'll just take a running back, take a swing, So I probably take Kamara in that league.
Because I do think that there is that. I mean, there are leagues that are about to start drafting like their redraft league, and people are going to be looking for content. And most of like the content out there right now is not for redraft league; it's for tournaments and best ball leagues, where the strategy is probably a little bit different. Peter, are you going to be catering any of your content to like normie drafts, drafts for normies?
So I would say the Fantasy Life newsletter, I tried to cater toward the common man who hasn't been radicalized by a zero RB truthers. But yeah, no, I hear that. Like I play in an ESPN standard league every year where you can only start 2 wide receivers, or I guess 3 with the flex, but it's standard scoring, nothing fancy. And I've tried zero RB stubbornly like 4 or 5 years ago when I first found it. And I was like, I'm going to, jam this square peg in a round hole everywhere. Didn't work too well in that format. So yeah, you can adjust in those home leagues. And to Ben's point, like we're now seeing some crazy stuff. Like in a home league, you could legitimately get T Higgins in the 6th or 7th round, and he'll go like late 3rd in some of these drafts now.
That is accurate.
And you're also counting on like your league mates, like a couple of your league mates to be just like donators, right? Like if it's not a super competitive league,
as you said that Higgins thing, I thought back to my oldest league that I've played in for like over 20 years. And a couple of years ago, I did exactly what you're talking about. I think I started running back because it was like, I know I can get value. And it was the year Chris Godwin was going into year 3, and anyone like us was very on Chris Godwin. He was jumping up into like the 3rd round of drafts, and I got him in like the middle of the 5th in this league. And it's like, okay, cool. Like I didn't sacrifice anything. I mean, if you're in that type of league and you're aware, you just kind of follow the 80.
Do your league mates hate you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because are you the type of, I'm just like going to be stereotyping you right now. Are you the type of guy that's like, in the 5th, I just got him in the 5th item in his 3rd round ADP? Like, is that kind
Gretch
of you?
Is like, definitely not that guy.
I'm not that guy actively. I've definitely done that. I'm not going to say that I've not done that. No, I'm more the guy that tells everyone else good pick, probably too much. And then I've had buddies kind of hate on me for that. Like, oh, hey, thanks. Like one guy changed his team name one year to Team of Great Value because I kept telling him like good value pick.
You were good. Playing expert.
I was trying to be nice. I was like, good job.
Gretch, I know that, but so I did a draft in person on Sunday with a bunch of the fantasy guys around Boston. And I found myself like when a guy that I didn't hate like the pick, but was not my target, I was like very over enthusiastic. Great pick.
Great pick.
Just trying to sell because it's like there's some truth to it, but I was selling it just a little too much.
Adam Thielen in the 5th. Good. Yeah,
great value.
Good
Great
value.
I couldn't have passed on that.
14 touchdowns last year. Yeah, definitely.
That's like one of our FI OG FI guys, Ben Pritchett. He's in the home league with me too. I mean, it's going on year 15 or 16, but he's the same way where he plays expert, where he'll tell you if it's a good pick or a bad pick or like whatever it is. Like he's he's going to be the color guy.
And you, the real fantasy football expert, are like, laughing because you're like, I got these guys. I have never won my home league with my buddies from high school and college, and
yikes! And
they
do this for a living.
They are a step above. Like they listen to the podcast and like they all listen to, not all of them, but some of them listen to like Ship Chasing. My buddy who we did the KFFFC last year with and stuff,
and the Swolecast.
Sometimes they watch it. I don't know if they watch it that much, but they make fun of me mercilessly because I've never won this league. Like it's relentless. Like it's not even fun for me to do the draft because I'm like, great, I have a 1 in 12 chance of winning this. I'm probably not going to win it, and it's just going to be awful.
Yeah, we have that. I won the first 2 years and haven't won since. We're like in year 15 or 16, and so there's a big drought, and people that I used to make fun of are now winning, and it's I'm competitive. But it takes a lot to win a big league. And we're also doing auction drafts now, which is a little different because like if you bid on somebody, someone else just wants to kind of outbid you for that player. If it's someone you have to, it's a game of poker basically. So, all right.
Is that what happens in auctions? I didn't know that. So when you bid, then someone outbids you.
Someone else bids also.
Is that how that works? Okay.
Oh no, sometimes you bid sometimes you bid and you win that bid.
Wait, and do you lose like the money if you win it? Then that comes out of what you had to start.
Yeah, like you have a cap. You have a starting budget, typically around $200.
I think there might be a market for this. Have you thought about bringing this to like a wider group of people?
My mind is blown by this.
Auction draft going to be starting soon.
It seems like a really equitable draft format.
yeah. So if you want to, but the issue is that like if you're the expert, if you're like the go-to guy, people that they look to for guidance and rankings,
that's David
and
Kitchen,
right? Like myself, then they are gonna just run up the bid no matter what, just because
Pete, how much would we love to see a year or even like a month of Soccer Dave like being like a fantasy football analyst, of like going on shows, talking about his picks, doing rankings, like updating news and stuff?
I think, Cal, if you're watching, you should make Kitchen start doing YouTube shorts on the RotoGrinders YouTube. His favorite picks at ADP every day.
He's gonna run out of Titans players after like the 5th show. What's he gonna do?
Did you guys see tape of Racy McMath? I know we talked about him.
I saw you quote tweet it. It's like the only tweet you sent in the last.
Yeah.
How many faves for the McMath tweet?
I don't know, David. Davis, how many drafts are you doing? Like any other drafts other than like the best ball drafts, like the typical best ball drafts?
Yeah, I've got main event with Peter and Patrick on the September 2nd, I think we said.
Yeah.
I have a main event with Thorman, Silva, and Reeves on the 25th. And then I have 2 other main events with some Daily Roto subscribers that we do, like the mega managed team. And then I have the NFFC Silver Bullet with Leone on the 29th.
Do you have anything by yourself that you're not co-signing with?
No, probably not. Like my home leagues and stuff.
Okay. So Peter, tell me what value Davis brings to the table with like the teams with you and Kareem.
Davis is
he in the weeds every week with like free agents?
More so, Davis is more on top of waivers than most people, I think.
Right. So he's kind of like your stable boy.
Well, I do waivers for all the teams that I co-manage. Like all the teams that I co-manage with everyone, I will do the waivers for all of them.
Yeah, and it's because there's that time this year will be overwhelming. We all have a ton of teams, and sometimes you need like each team, even if you're co-managing it, you kind of need a captain, like someone who is going to take the charge, put the initial ideas out there, and then the other people bounce off of them. And when in our football guys draft last year, Davis was our captain getting us started.
I mean, you guys had like I will never forget the week 1 Ship Chasing waiver show, like a true all-time shit show. Sorry, Devin, but it really was like, it was unbelievable. I'm glad we got it streamlined after that.
Wait, you were on the first ever Ship Chasing show?
No, he's talking about last year, week 1. Like Pat and I just hadn't done any prep work because what we used to do was like talk through our decisions. Yeah. But this was the first year we had done a live waiver show. And so we're like talking with the chat and goofing around. And then we were like, holy shit, we have 15 minutes and haven't done anything for all these teams. And I was just having a meltdown. And we since then added in a pre-Wednesday show call last year to go through like some of the, just color in the lines a little bit before we got on the show. So yes, it's we've refined the process.
You were also kind of in bit mode last year, and now you're in like full expert. Like,
I don't know. It felt pretty real for you guys by week 1. I mean, you guys did a lot of drafts last year. Obviously,
I'm talking about before the season started.
Yeah. I mean, Pete's a serious fantasy football player.
Now
Give him
he
some
is.
Credit, dude.
Now he is 100%, but he did originally like he did not want to be like the tout, the guy that has his own newsletter that's whatever. So
I don't have my own newsletter.
You don't.
I still hope that my stuff comes from a place of I am just sharing what I am doing in my drafts.
Yeah.
That's what I feel comfortable doing. And even when we do shows with Gretch and Davis and Pat, like I feel way more comfortable just talking through, like I've done all these drafts. I know the pockets at ADPs. I know how these drafts go. That's where I feel like I can lend my expertise, and Gretch will attest to it too. Like when we talk, I often don't have player takes. I'm like, we all generally like these guys. If someone prefers one way more than the other, I'm generally pretty cool with it.
Gretch, as far as like the way that you're evaluating players, you see people now, you got your own site. How much do you engage on Twitter? Like banter, like if someone has a take that you disagree with, how much do you take the bait basically now?
Not very much. I mean,
you just let it slide.
It's not even Twitter's an interesting place, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's tough.
Well, give an example. Give an example.
What do you mean?
Of like someone who's had a take that you disagree with.
I think it was when I was with you at Fantasy Insiders. I remember quote tweeting Scott Fish on a John Ross thing, and I was just trying to add like the other side of it, and he ended up deleting the tweet. Do you remember this? And you hammered me mercilessly for getting the nicest guy on Twitter, Scott Fish, who we all love, who I was certainly not trying to dunk on, to like delete a tweet. I mean that, yeah, like that's a great example.
A pro John Ross tweet. Who's he playing for now? It's
the Giants.
That's right. I saw him like doing a.
Just give him a chance, Kitchen. You've not given him enough runway. God,
he's so fast. How much preseason are you going to be watching this week, Peter?
Probably not a lot. I'm so swamped. I wish I just had like 3 hours to make DFS lineups and what. David, I'm doing everything I can, Kitchen.
So swamped. It's your job.
I am.
It's your job to grind the tape.
It's not preseason's not my job.
All right. Gretch, what about you?
I'm going to try to watch as much as I can.
Davis?
Yeah, I'll watch all of it, and I will. Game Pass doesn't have all 22 now, but I'll.
It's
watch
also
the
like the format
too.
is way worse. Is it way harder to get to the videos, or is that just me?
I haven't pulled it up yet.
Davis told me it'd be no. Davis said no problem. It was going to be.
Well, that's not
no
to peek behind the curtains. That's not how I make the videos that I make on Twitter. Now, in the season, if it's still a huge problem, that like if it still doesn't work, then it's going to be a big problem. And I don't know how I'm going to keep up those engagements without Game Pass working, because people love it's just a never-ending source of engagements when you post videos of football players.
Yeah,
that and best ball screenshots.
Never. It's the fountain that truly will never run out.
My team.
It's going to be really fascinating when we flip the switch week 1, because you remember the moratorium. We need to get it all out of
oh my God. The moratorium, Pete, it's going to be worse than ever this year.
It's going to be awful. Last year was bad, and it's a fraction of the amount of people playing this year.
Someone is going to screenshot being in first place at the end of Sunday night on
week 1. No, we're going to get the day after. Like it'll be, who's the opening game? Is it Cowboys,
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Like CD has like 2 catches.
Yeah, this team's dust.
I faded CeeDee Lamb. He's the 5th option on the Cowboys. I'm gonna win Best Ball Mania 2.
Oh man, it's coming for sure.
Gretch he's look at it. He really wants to give his Cowboys passing game take right now. So go ahead and give it. Go ahead and give it.
I'm already getting
Prescott's
stressed
80
out
Ps.
about that. They're not wrong. Like the mentions get so bad in September, man. They're just
No, here's the thing though. Kitchen was one of the worst offenders of the best ball moratorium, but he doesn't have any teams.
Last year I did. This year not so many, but last year I had a lot of teams.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you were one of the worst offenders, and there is nothing to offend. Like, because you don't have any teams to care about.
Hold on. Also, one of the worst offenders, Davis, I did very well in both DraftKings and Underdog.
This guy's
went to the championship. Did you go to the championship?
No, but I also wouldn't have been talking about it for the 16th.
Peter, did you go to the championship?
I did actually.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. 2 of the guys on this show went to the championship, Davis, and you didn't. I was more successful with best ball shares last year than you were.
Yeah, Gretch tried to lump Davis into our best ball acumen, and that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. It just threw me off track. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh no, I was going to ask about Cooper. Dak, undervalued, yay or nay?
I think so. Are you asking me? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think so. I'm not that worried about Dak's shoulder. I mean, Cooper has to fall a little bit. He already has fallen a little bit. That's what I'm saying. To take him in the specific draft, I wouldn't like reach for him. I've been a card carrying member of CD over Cooper all off season, but I mean, yeah, you can take Cooper. You know, when he starts to slip into you can see him in like the 5th. It's depends on the league, obviously, but
I'm the same way. Like CD is super exciting, but man, he is getting really pricey. I mean, he goes at the back end of the second round.
We memed CeeDee Lamb from like April at the beginning of the 4th to the end of the 2nd, like just via sheer memery. Like, I'm the highest on CeeDee Lamb. No, I'm the highest on CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. And I get the concerns with Amari, like he's still, working back from this ankle. The team say it's fine. But I think the bigger deal is Dak going to be okay? Like, I don't know. The shoulder stuff seems vaguely concerning to me.
Yeah, I can see it be vaguely concerning, but like, I don't know if he gets a snap of preseason action, I'm going to be like, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm calling it a baseball injury is weird. I mean,
yeah,
baseball pitchers that have shoulder injuries usually are screwed. Like that didn't actually like sound great. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess the reality is I'm not taking Dak a ton, but because he's not actually like falling that much. But I think like when you pose a question as like, are they a value? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff's overblown this year. We didn't have preseason last year. People are freaking out about Burrow. Burrow's not even 9 months removed from a pretty significant knee injury. He should be a little ginger in practice, and people are freaking out that he doesn't look like he's 100%. That's sort of what we should have expected, in my opinion. I'm not saying we should completely fade that stuff. I also don't think that you should chase injured players, where possible. But there's a lot of this early, like we are still a full month from week 1. And then week 1 is what everyone focuses on, but is not what determines fantasy weeks, right? I think Burrow, like the way I've been putting it is like maybe he's not totally even mentally all the way there by week 1, but he's probably going to play. He's very likely to play. And I assume Dak too. And then I'm sort of thinking by like week 4 that these guys are going to be fine. Like maybe it takes a couple of weeks for them. They're a little ginger. Maybe those offenses go a little more run heavy early on to protect those guys. But if they're fine by week 4, then they're like, you almost shouldn't have discounted them at all.
Yeah. And back to the CeeDee Lamb thing, and you mentioned Burrow, Higgins, another one. Like, we all love these second-year breakout wide receivers. And the one thing is like, you don't have to reach for them because in every round, there's another one of these guys that fit that profile. If you don't get Lamb, you can get Higgins. If you don't get Higgins, you can get Ayuk. If you don't get Ayuk, you can get Judy. If you don't get Judy, you can get Visca. If you don't get Visca, you can get Pittman. Like, you don't have to reach for these guys. You can get similar profiles at each round, basically through like 10 rounds.
Okay, you mentioned Pittman, so that's the next topic as far as Colts. Do you think that Wentz is going to be quarterback starting week 1? And has your opinion changed any on has it gone from I'm not drafting any Colts players to yes, I will, Davis?
I mean, I didn't really like the Colts before. Like the Colt I had the most of before was Nyheim Hines, but I just expect them to play a pretty boring brand of football, run the ball a lot. I don't think Carson Wentz is that good. I mean, I definitely don't think Eason is any good. Sorry, Gretch. Sorry for the Huskies, but I mean, I guess the guy to buy the dip on would have been Paris Campbell because he, theoretically still has like room. Like he's got marginal room for a breakout. He's been marred by so many injuries. Like you can kind of squint and see it. But I like Pittman goes ahead of like Devontae Parker. I think Parker's a little bit better of a bet. And I even think that like the Rondale Ruggs group of guys, honestly, is a little bit more interesting than Pittman because I don't see any wide receiver there really like racking up like 130 targets.
Yeah, I don't know. I like betting on T.Y. Hilton fading, and I think both Paris Campbell and Pittman are unique enough or interesting enough that one of them could kind of emerge and really pay off on their ADP. But I'm curious on Gretch's wide receiver takes there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to Davis in that the Colts have been really rotational the last several years. Like Reich has been really willing to like play to different game script, use different personnel. They're not a concentrated offense. They haven't been. I think that could change a little bit for Taylor specifically, but I don't really think it's going to change for necessarily any of the receivers. Pittman led the team in snaps though last year. Like he was the guy that they committed to a little bit, playing almost every down. But it is interesting. Like I like to look at instead of yards per out run, targets per out run and yards per target basically make up yards per out run, right? And so I like to look at the targets per out run side of that. Yards per target's not a particularly stable one. Earning targets is a skill. It's a challenging thing, I think, for some people to grasp. But like receivers that earn a lot of targets are the ones that we want. That's what the real ceiling is. We think of like these big plays, big splashes.
Like Randall Cobb?
Yeah, I mean like 10 years ago. Yeah, like Randall Cobb.
But are you saying like earning targets because the quarterback trusts them or because the team is like they're designing plays for them?
Well, we don't really know the exact reason why, but more or less like they're getting open, right? In some way or another. Like we know that wide receiver athleticism doesn't have a huge impact on whether or not players are successful from a prospect standpoint, which then people think means that athleticism doesn't matter. That's not really what we're saying. We're saying the ones that are athletic, that use their athleticism for production, like Julio Jones, that shows up in their production. It doesn't necessarily, there's also really athletic guys that aren't productive, right? But like Stephen Hill or whoever, Davis, we were in
love years ago. Dude, don't even. Why'd you even have to go there, bro? We were having a fun show.
At any rate, what I was getting at
had a little lamb.
Paris Campbell in a really small sample has had a target spread run over 20%, which is really pretty good. Pittman one was like in the 15% range last year, which is more like meh, right? And so I have been sort of like Campbell, especially at cost, is more interesting to me than Pittman.
All right. Who are the just the back to school theme? We've got to do at least one sort of analogy. Who are like the old actors that really should not be in the movie, but they're still in the high school movie? Talking about like who are the old players that you're drafting that maybe have they discovered a fountain of youth? Maybe they're not getting older. You're okay with drafting them because it's not a popular take to be drafting old players these days. At least not in like the
define old. Because like I don't even want to draft
over 24, Gretch.
Yeah,
for a running back.
For this group of people, we're like looking at guys who are in their third year. Like I don't know, man. It's just,
like I think who was it? Antonio Brown. Like they said, like he's looking like 5 years ago, Antonio Brown or something like that. Like are you drafting any old players right now, Gretch?
The hard thing is just, Pete just laid it out really well. It's like opportunity cost. Antonio Brown goes in this range where you can still get some really interesting upside young players like Visca or whoever. That's not like to say that I don't want to take any Antonio Brown. I actually think we'll go back to that targets per out run stat. Antonio Brown was really good last year at that stat. I mean, there's a possibility that he comes out and is really good. I'm actually sort of shying away from Evans and Godwin because I don't think people realize how much Brown was like a third number one when he played. He didn't play a ton of snaps all the time, but
well, give me an old guy that you're drafting.
like the first thing I thought of was Robbie Anderson is interesting.
We needed Leone. We needed Leone on the show if we wanted to draft old guys.
Like Robbie Anderson's a dude that I'll consider in ranges where I want to take young players, but I think Robbie's underpriced. He's come up a lot in the last couple months. Like a couple months ago, you can get him in like
so is Darnold. I mean that whole offense has, outside of McCaffrey, obviously. Peter, who are some old guys that you're drafting right now?
Yeah, I'm with Gretch. It's really, really hard to pull the trigger on guys like Antonio Brown there. I've been forcing myself to do it a little bit. If I am taking some of the old guys, I've come around if I do like the hyper fragile and I'm just stacking wide receivers. I have capitulated a little bit to some AJ Green there.
You want to talk about old?
That was my guy. That was the guy that I just.
The other old guy that is probably the earliest guy that I draft a lot, and I know Pat and Davis hate this take from listening to their recent one, is I grabbed some Emmanuel Sanders. I think he is going to get targets in that offense.
Beat reporters do not lie either.
We invited Matt Waldman on the show, apparently.
I do find it funny, Davis, that you're in on AJ Green, but out on Emmanuel Sanders. I think Sanders is a better version of what you're getting when you draft AJ Green.
Emmanuel Sanders' last 900-yard season was in 2016. Just, that's just an actual stat.
Wow. Owned. I mean, probably true for AJ Green too. So the AJ Green thing is that the Cardinals offense is just going to have a ton of layups because of the way, like, most of the throws they're going to ask Kyler to do are either going to be way too difficult and should never be called by any quarterback ever. Like, the dumb vertical stuff they do where the guy has no chance, or total layups because that's the way the offense is designed. And AJ Green is going to have terrible efficiency, but if they just design a bunch of layup plays for him, which it's Cliff Kingsbury, and I could totally see him signing 33-year-old AJ Green and being like, that's the guy we got to feed. But basically, Leone is the one who pointed this out to me. Andy Isabella on the COVID list, Christian Kirk injured in training camp. And then after they signed AJ Green, Cliff was saying all these things about the wide receiver group. And he was talking about Keyshawn Johnson, but literally did not say Christian Kirk's name. Like, Christian Kirk is like dead to Cliff Kingsbury for whatever reason. I think it's stupid. It's not how I would coach the Arizona Cardinals, but it looks like he probably is going to see the second most targets on a team that we expect to pass a ton.
What about Rondale Moore?
I mean,
did you have anything bad to say about? Is there any like bad news on him?
We don't say anything bad about.
No,
Rondale
I love Rondale Moore. I take Rondale Moore ahead of ADP.
He just ignored him like he didn't exist. So he's talking about Andy Isabella.
No, but it's just like what is Cliff going to do with a rookie wide receiver he drafted high? The last rookie wide receiver he drafted high, he literally redshirted him. So I just don't know.
It's fair.
I would say the comment about like the layups in that offense, I think that's very similar for the Bills offense.
I was about to say, and he doesn't have to fight with as many.
Well,
players.
all the layups go to Diggs though.
I mean, a lot, but you could say all the layups went to Hopkins last year in the Cardinals offense.
Yeah,
well, they dispersed a bunch of targets. Like, they had a bunch of guys who had like 30 to 40 targets, right?
What do you mean by layups? Like, what type of play?
Like the mesh play, right? So the mesh play in the air. Pete knows. Pete read the book.
No, Pete just did a layup like a basketball layup.
No, the mesh play. You have the guy who runs the option route, and he runs the crosser with the hook option, and that was Hopkins' play last year. I could see them asking Hopkins to run the more difficult route isolated on the perimeter, as opposed to asking AJ Green to do the more difficult job. That's sort of what I'm thinking.
Because I was thinking you're talking about, I mean, when I say layups, I'm thinking of like jet motion tip passes.
No. None of that. No, that's
all going to go to Moore, which makes it tough for Green, in my opinion. I think that's all going to go to Rondale. I'm really high on Rondale. Kitchen, I was just looking through ADP, and I got a couple other olds for you. And one I know Pete likes. Odell Beckham. Pete was kind of making.
I was going to ask Davis about Odell Beckham. I brought him up last week, but I mean, another one of those guys.
What is it with all you guys that are old that just want to talk about olds, like you and Leone?
No, it's about finding value, Gretch. Like when you see
Kitchen is a
expected
value-based
value.
drafter. Kitchen is a value-based drafter.
You can't spell soccer day without EV, my friend. So
Without VBD, you mean?
But no, I mean, you take a look at like offenses, and you would assume he's going to be the wide receiver 1, right?
Beckham.
Yeah.
Is that talking about? Yeah. I mean, still was really good in targets per out run in limited samples the last several years. You know, when he's been getting hurt, he hasn't been as explosive. I don't know if that's like guaranteed to be gone for the rest of his career. He came in really young. I think he's 28, 29. He's not like 32 or anything. You know, he's competing with Landry, who's just as old, basically. They don't really have a lot else. Like they use their tight ends a lot. They use the running backs a lot. People like Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins. There's not a lot else there. Like if Baker's going to have a good year, and I think the Browns are probably going to have a decent year, and the Browns threw a lot down the stretch last year and into the playoffs. They stayed a lot more aggressive, and Baker was playing better. So I think this, like, if you look at all the Browns ADPs, if they do keep any of that late season passing and they bring that into this year, someone's going to be a value. Like Landry's completely forgotten about. Austin Hooper is like ridiculously free. And I'm not saying he's like a great upside tight end bet, but like for best balls where you can get him, sure. He's probably their third option. He played plenty. So the biggest of all of that point would be Beckham. If Beckham's back to form in any kind of way, he's still dominating targets on a per route basis in the last several years. He's not like done.
Yeah. DPJ was a guy we talked last week about, like 18th round guys.
He's no longer an 18th.
Yeah, you got to take him like in the 16th round
because you
really
were like at last week. I actually had the choice of choosing, I think on our draft, choosing between him and Rashard Higgins. And I chose Higgins, and I chose poorly because after that, it seemed like all the beat writers were just talking about how amazing he was doing.
Steady drumbeat on Donovan Peoples-Jones this offseason.
Obviously, we're listening to that. What about you mentioned Cincinnati? What about some of those backup wide receivers as well, Gretch?
Who's about? What are
you talking about Auden Tate? Or you
just want to talk about Auden Tate?
No, Tate.
I think the Bengals have the best trio of receivers in the league. And every time I say that, people are like, what about the Cowboys? And I think the Bengals trio is better.
But Tate's not in the trio.
What about the Cowboys?
That's sort of my point, is how is Auden Tate going to play when he's behind the best trio? I mean, like, even if one of those guys gets hurt, the other two, Tate's going to get on the field, the other two are going to eat. That's what's going to happen. He's going to run.
I guess it's about leverage and your strategy in best ball tournaments. Like if one of those guys goes down, just like
that's not leverage though, because the other two will dominate targets that are healthy, and Tate will run empty routes.
And they still have like a bad or good Michael Thomas still too, which he played a little bit last year.
I mean, that might hit, Kitchen. Anything can hit, but I would say that's like a good example of bad seasonal leverage. Like he's not good enough to jump in, even if he gets the injury.
Practice reports say differently, Gretch.
And
follow a
practice reports. He just means
follow
Ian Harden's Twitter timeline.
Yeah. Hardens will not let Auden Tate die. That's commendable.
Yeah, we commend that. We were talking about preseason. I do want to give a shout out to Chris Jimino because I did play Showdown last week in that Hall of Fame game. Watch all 4 quarters.
That's a huge
amazing.
Upset.
And we like Jimino was all in on the. I don't even know what his name is now. I forgot what his name is, but he's a Steelers wide receiver that caught a touchdown. But he's like their 6th or 7th string guy. But it basically moved everybody in the RG Discord up to the top of the list. So
you're admitting to collusion, is what I'm hearing.
No.
If I had 150 lineups and I was in the RG Discord, we didn't have the same team. Too.
Davis, I know you don't really understand about like how to win a tournament or a qualifier. So when you have a 3% owned guy, when you have a 3% owned guy that scores a touchdown and is like one of the top owned guys, and anyone that has him is going to move up the leaderboard in a 1-game showdown contest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with the best ball tournaments, all the guys in the 18th round when you're moving up those boards in week 17, right? When
Racy McMath.
When Racy McMath and Ryan Tannehill combined for 4 touchdowns in week 17, but Kitchen's team with Racy McMath got eliminated in week 16.
It's not going to happen. Davis, your goal this year should be to make a best ball final.
Yes. Pete and I had this conversation like back in February, and I said that was one of my goals.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It makes you feel good about your process, all the work you did in the off season.
I was like Josh Allen to Isaiah McKenzie shuffle touchdown pass away from bonking
Davis,
the drafters tournament last year.
No one wants to hear about your what ifs on the drafters tournament.
Finished third,
did
baby.
You have Isaiah McKenzie? How did it come down to
20 round drafts?
So he was your Racey McMath last year.
I mean, I was taking guys. Cedric Wilson, James Washington, Auden Tate. Took Auden Tate on some teams. Got to do it.
All right, guys that are gaining
scored
steam.
5 touchdowns last year, I think, right?
Calm down. Both of you calm down. We've taken up the allotment of Isaiah McKenzie on this show.
How tilted are people going to be when Isaiah McKenzie has more touches than Gabriel Davis, who they've been hoovering up in the 10th round of underdog drafts?
Davis, when did you become such an old two, man? Like, you want to take Ezekiel Elliott and you want to fade Gabe Davis, who was
here's the thing. I need to make this point. I need to make this point on Zeke.
No.
Everyone is racing to say they like CeeDee Lamb more than everyone else. Everyone thinks the Cowboys are going to score all these points. We're drafting Michael Gallup at the 5'8". We're taking Amari Cooper, who is still limping around on an ankle that was injured 7 months ago. We're taking Dak. But all of a sudden, people think that Zeke can't score 20 touchdowns while still being fat. Like he can get there. It's the same argument for CH. He can be so good for fantasy without being as good as like Derrick Henry or whatever.
Who's a guy that has gained steam over this past week that you were on, Gretch?
I mean, I'm not as tied into ADP as these guys that are best balling a ton, but Higgins is gaining steam and should be. A lot of these young guys, Lamb's gaining steam and should be. I'm definitely on those guys.
But I thought you said he was too expensive, or maybe that was Peter.
That was Pete. I'll take CeeDee Lamb with the 1-2
Ooh,
turn.
You're still taking him.
Nice. A 1-2 turn.
I mean, I don't know
Now
that I really would,
spicy.
but like,
I'm
not going to not take CeeDee Lamb. I'll say that.
David's just saying we're all trying to one up each other, and then
like literally we are racing over each other to be like, no, I think the Cowboys are going to score more points. No, I think the Cowboys are going to score more points, but we don't feel comfortable taking.
Let me put it this
Zeke
way:
at
I
3.
said on my pod with Sean Siegel, Stealing Bananas, that CeeDee Lamb. People keep asking who's this year's AJ Brown. He was this year's.
I
AJ
agree
Brown.
with this take.
Very easily, especially when he was going in the 3rd round. It's very similar to Brown, where it's just a situational, like last year's Brown can't get his targets. Same thing with Lamb. He's even the number 1 on his own team. We're making these situational issues to ignore the fact that his profile, dating back to college, which we should still be looking at, is all green flags. It's just flawless. And he was awesome last year, especially before Dak went down. And he's going to run more routes this year. He didn't run full slate of routes last year. He's going to be phenomenal. So yeah, I think you can take him. Here's what I'll say. I'm not convinced Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in that class, and ADP all offseason has had a significant gap there. And I think CeeDee actually long term is going to prove to be the better receiver.
Yep.
And I will give you credit. Gretch, because we talked about John Roth, obviously, and I'll go on the opposite side of that and say, like, you were one of the top guys on AJ Brown from the get-go, like as you're like the flag planters. It was me and you there at the top of the mountain.
John Ross just ran bad. He should have been so good. Yeah. Jordan Matthews too also just ran bad.
Matthews at least had like some production out there.
Jordan Matthews is going to be in the NFL.
Are you going to say
buddy.
John Ross didn't have any production? Just a sec. I'm pulling up the stat that I said to Davis the other day. He has played 27 career games. He has 10 touchdowns. That's a really good touchdown rate. I just want that on the record.
First season, didn't he play like 3 games?
Yeah, he just got hurt a ton.
Yeah, like you're spanning those 3 touchdowns over 3 seasons.
10 touchdowns, not 3.
10 touchdowns, whatever.
It's
3 a year. All
right, I bet
Peter,
you didn't know he scored 10 NFL touchdowns. You learned something today.
We're heading back to school, and we're starting with the books.
Peter, who are some guys that have been gaining steam over the past week that you're on or not on?
Yeah, who's getting steamed up? I mean, we keep mentioning Higgins. Like, I still am kind of chasing him at the, beginning of the 4th round at times. Guys, Gretch, Pat and I just drafted Jerry Jeudy in one of our main event teams, and I hadn't been getting a lot of him. And now I'm trying to kind of get some, even though he is expensive. And then on the flip side, I had virtually no Devonta Smith. But because of the injury, he's now been sliding sometimes like 20 picks past ADP. So I've been starting to get my first Devonta Smith exposure now.
Davis, what about you?
I mean, it's Darrell Henderson, right? He's the guy who
Is he even rising?
Yes, yeah. You got to take him at like the 3.9 sometimes in underdog now,
Which is still too low.
He was
his
there,
ADP is 46.8. Yeah.
So he was 58 5 days ago.
Yeah.
But people finally realize that
what's happened is everyone drafting in the puppy now realizes that it's a different tournament than the one from before, and it's different from the BBM. So you can draft him independently of the teams who have him in the 11th. So everyone's just taking him now. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much every time I go into a puppy draft, I star Darrell Henderson so I don't forget to take him. So I just want to take him. I want to take him in the 4th round every time. So I get my draft slot, I star Darrell Henderson, and I just get ready to take him.
I stopped doing that because I'll always get like a call or something and then be like
No
Henderson
one-
in the 2nd.
That happened to me the other day. Ryan Tannehill in the 7th. I had the AJ Brown, and I star my quarterback. So because I have multiple drafts going at a time, and I need to know who to grab. And I got auto picked Tannehill at like pick 77.
Kitchen, no one's gonna believe you when we see your 36% Racy McMath exposure. You say, I just always got a call, and he was at the top of my queue.
Like legit, like even the last draft I just did, I just auto drafted the last 3 rounds. Like that's not. I'm the donator in the leagues. Like that's me.
That's why you can't spell Soccer Dave without EV.
Without EV. That's right. All right, Gretch, go ahead and tell us all about your projects that you're working on. You already mentioned the podcast, but how many podcasts are you on right now?
2. Stealing Bananas one and Ship Chasing with Pat and Pete on Wednesday nights. The one with Sean is a few episodes, usually 3 episodes a week. We've been doing some bonus episodes. We did a draft with Davis. It became 4 episodes, I think. So yeah, a lot of content there. And then the newsletter, bengretch.substack.com. Premium newsletter. You have to pay to read the newsletter, which Kitchen mentioned earlier in the show is apparently
I will say
that he would do.
This is the only newsletter that I pay for, and it is
also the only newsletter I pay for, and I would never I would literally only ever pay for Ben Gretch's newsletter.
It is well worth the money. So good job there. I will say though, now that we know how much that he got off of that punk, have him buy you like a nice microphone.
Are you maxing the big dog now, Pete?
Do I sound bad?
No, you don't sound bad, but like you need like a professional mic.
I got this guy.
Why aren't you using it?
It's on. I'm talking. Am I not talking into it?
No.
I haven't done a Zoom in a while.
He sounds fine. Kitchen is like, this is just what Kitchen does. He just finds something.
I'm talking into the Yeti.
Okay, well that's better.
Yeah, it's
Kitchen just finds something to nag everyone about. It's just like what he does.
I love the audio files. Is that what an audio file is? Yeah, I think so. Right?
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't mean something else.
Yeah. Anytime you add file to the end of it, you're like, I hope.
It might be. It could be anything, really.
Peter, you answer Davis's question. Has your fantasy teams that you're registering for this year changed by the sale of your punk last week?
No, because I'm not converting that into Ethereum or into cash and then having another taxable event.
A real bull.
Are you just keeping it in ETH?
Let it ride, baby.
Are we gonna hit 10K by
dude? Literally,
by 2022?
He sells it in ETH, and ETH pumps 15% in a week, dude. You absolutely love to see it.
What, you thought I was gonna do the Beeple and just dump all my ETH?
No, I mean, I don't.
No, honestly, hashtag not financial advice. I mean, you could really be left with a heavy tax bill if ETH were to crater. So I understand the risks there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've never sold. It's definitely not because it's a complicated process and I'm a little bit scared of the tax implications. It's definitely things I've thought more out and like ideological stances I have.
Okay,
That's
I was actually
definitely
thinking
why.
about this, Davis. Have you converted? Like not sold, but have you converted Bitcoin to ETH or any sort of?
That's literally insulting that you would say that to me.
Oh
Of course
my
I haven't.
gosh! Oh, what a maxi!
Why?
All right.
No, that would be opting into the crooked system, dude. I turned fiat into currency.
Yeah, but okay, all right. You like your Bitcoin? You're a maxi.
I like my boomer.
The
coin,
fact
dude.
that you
I
have
like,
not converted any Bitcoin to ETH means that you're a maxi, though. Like you understand that, though.
No, that's literally not how it works, dude.
Yes, it is.
I bet I
That
have.
you-
I
like-
actually, I know for a fact I have more ETH than you. So it's just like what I want. Like, why would you tell me that I'm the maxi when I believe in ETH more than you do?
No, that's not true. How much ETH do you have right now?
You got them all wrapped up in crypto.
How much
dick.
ETH? No,
I
Davis.
guess
How much?
he does more than both of you
conversation.
combined.
Yeah,
so.
Davis. How
Yeah.
much ETH do you have right now?
It's not about. I wasn't making a
No,
comment on
Davis. You just
myself
said you
being
bet you
rich.
have more than me right now. How much?
I
do you
would
have?
never. I would never say that on a publicly recorded show ever. We could talk about it offline.
Like,
But I assume all of yours is in crypto dick butts.
like your ETH on OpenSea, we need to wrap this conversation up.
Oh, that was good.
Thank
That
you.
was
All
good.
right. Yeah.
Little crypto joke there at the end
Wrap
of
the
Swolecast.
wrap Swolecast.
Rap
You
Swolecast token coming soon. That's
Thanks
Kitchen's
to
next business
thanks-
idea.
I thought I was gonna get Davis to give his ETH amount on air.
No, what am I dumb, dude? Come on.
You just comment on other people's financials.
It was
Okay,
not
so-
about your financials. It's about you.
No, I'm talking
having
about like the working class, Davis. Our
Oh my
working class
God,
guys.
this guy. This
Okay.
guy.
All right. That will do it. Special thanks to Davis, to Peter, to Gretch for being on this show. We'll see you next week. We might have Tuttle on the show next week. It's been a while.
Who's that?
Seems unlikely.
Yeah. he might just cash out. Peace out altogether. But anyways, we'll see y'all next week. Later.